Marshall Mathers IV here. I really wish the movie Batman Begins, which came out and was released on June 15 in the year 2005, I myself would have much rather personally, strongly preferred it to have been released and to have came out on February 15 in the year 2004. And there are multiple reasons why I wish this. Starting with the first, it would have been more classic. It would have even had a 90s type feel and vibe to it, being released in 2004 instead of 2005. And it's not like, oh, I have anything against the year by itself, that any movie that I wish would have been released earlier was actually released. But I just hate the year that most movies that I do in fact like or love were released the years that I wish they weren't. And the other reason why I wish that Batman Begins would have came out on February 15 in the year 2004 is because I would have been younger. And if it would have came out on February 15 in the year 2004, I would have pretty much just turned 7 years old. And, you know, I really do miss my childhood. I'm just going to put it out there for all of you to hear. I really do miss my childhood. And if I could, I would most definitely go back. Because it was the happiest fucking times in my life. And ever since I was 15 and went to possibly the worst place on the face of this earth, being that of high school, that I was not at all emotionally or mentally prepared for, and what I saw and went through there, I've just been ever since the shallow remains of my former self. That being my childhood self. That used to be very happy in just every possible way that you can imagine. That was me. And I enjoyed my childhood for as long and as much as I could, even though it still went by pretty damn fast. And my teenage years went even by way more fast. And my adulthood is even going by more faster than my teenagehood. And this is probably, if anything, one of the most and main reasons why I wish most movies, especially movies that I myself like or even love, would have been released earlier. Whether that be a year earlier than they actually were, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 6, or more years. Because I wish that any movie that I like or love would have came out in my childhood. And that is just what I wish. It's just something about me. Whether you can understand that or not, or relate to that or not, for that matter. And you know, even just thinking about the movie Batman Begins in general, Bruce Wayne in the comics, like when he first becomes Batman, he's supposed to be like 27 years old. Exactly 27 years old. And yet, when Batman Begins actually was released and did come out, which was on June 15 in the year 2005, Christian Bale, who hands down played the very best possible Batman ever on the big screen. And he was 31 though that year. If it would have been released in 2004, however, he would have only been 30. 30 years old. And I know that's not that big or that much of a difference. And which is why I don't expect, and obviously I don't demand, that any of you understand my opinions on that. Because to me, it does make a big difference. It does make a huge difference when a movie is released or was released, because say an actor or actress, their character in a certain movie they play is a certain age. Yet if they're not that age, and if you actually look up their age during the time that movie was released, it will just seem funny and even hilarious that you can tell they're not that age. I mean, you'll even have it where some actors and actresses who are the age of 30 years old, that's 30 years old, that will still play teenage characters in either movies or a TV show. And I just find that odd myself, and strange and bizarre. And you know what, I think, in my opinion, that I think it's okay for either an actor or actress to play that of a teenage like character role or whatever in a movie or a TV show up until the age of, say, 24. But 25 and so on and so forth, I mean, you can just tell they're not a teenager unless they have maybe a baby face, or maybe their voice sounds much younger than a person's voice normally would at their age. And then I guess they get a pass. But other than that, actors and actresses should not be playing like teenage characters or whatever past the age of 24. And, you know, in a lot of movies too, you'll have, and shows, you'll have where an adult actor or actress who's, say, like 40 years old or even older, and they'll be playing a character that's in their 20s. Now that is just absolutely laughable. Just utterly hilarious. And I know one example of a movie that did something like that, which was Men in Black 3. When Will Smith's character went back in time, and he went to go pretty much save his partner in the past so that he wouldn't die being killed by this one alien guy in that movie. And his past self was played by an actor in his 40s, but there's a scene in the movie where he says that his age is like fucking 27 or some shit. And you can just tell that that actor doesn't look 27 or whatever he says his age was. And I mean, I am trying my best to make any of you who are even at the slightest bit interested in why I wish most movies would have been released earlier. Not all, but most. I'm trying my best here. I'm giving it my all. And I mean, I just love older movies. The older the movie is, the more I love it. The newer it is, the harder time I have even enjoying it, even if it is a good or even great movie, because I haven't enjoyed my life since I was 15 years old. I mean, I hate myself as much as I do most people. And I miss my childhood more than anything, which is why I wish any movie that I have seen and that I do like or love would have been released like as early as fucking possible in my childhood that it could have been. Either technically or hypothetically or whatever. And I would say the last reason why I wish Batman Begins would have came out and been released on February 15 in the year 2004 Well, I guess actually a couple more reasons. The first to last reason being that all these new movies and TV shows coming out from 2014 and so on and so forth, Hollywood started pushing and promoting their goddamn agenda. That is so sick, twisted, corrupt, backwards, upside down, and just disgusting. Flat out sickening. Such as gay agenda, the normalization of gay marriage or gay people in general. And it's not enough to just normalize it. We normal people who aren't for it have to fucking bow down to those faggots and like praise them. And just worship the fucking ground they walk on. Same with transgenders. You have that same agenda and propaganda pushed and promoted in movies and shows, both coming out from 2014, 2015, 2016, and so on and so forth. And then you have pansexual propaganda and agenda pushed and promoted in movies and TV shows by Helly Weird. And then you have propaganda and agenda of feminism pushed and promoted in movies and TV shows from 2014 and so on. And then you also have propaganda and agenda pushed and promoted like crazy of SJWs in movies and TV shows coming out from 2014 and so on. Like more recent years like 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and so on and so forth. And it's just revolting. It's just pathetic, honestly. And Hollywood, since the year 2014, has literally only been making movies and TV shows, for the most part, for a very small, tiny, minuscule portion of people, being that of course gay people, transgender people, pansexual people, bisexual people, feminists, and SJWs. And so those are the only movies and shows really coming out since 2014. And they're only appealing to a small minority of people. Very small, tiny minority compared to most normal fucking people. That in the past, Hollywood would make more normal movies and TV shows for most people, or that would appeal to most normal people. And I would say obviously the last year that Hollywood made movies or a show for normal people, for most of the minority, was in 2013. But after that, everything went downhill. Since 2014 and so on, like I said. And the last reason why I wish that Batman Begins would have came out and been released on February 15 in the year 2004, not June 15, 2005 like it actually was, is because if you would have had Batman Begins come out on February 15 in the year 2004, you could have had Batman the Dark Knight come out in February of 2006. I mean, if it would have been released in that month of that year in 2006, that would have been fucking awesome. And why do I say that? One of the main reasons being, not only would the whole cast have been younger, the movie itself would have been older by 2 years than it actually was when it was released, which was bullshit 2008. But that's also the year Heath Ledger died, tragically died. But say The Dark Knight came out in 2006, then you would have had Batman The Dark Knight Rises, which hopefully would have then come out in 2008, February of 2008 to be exact. And maybe, just maybe, Heath Ledger's Joker would have been then in 2 Batman movies. Even if he would have still died in the year 2008, at least he would have then been in 2 fucking Batman movies instead of just 1. But because The Dark Knight came out in 2008 and not 2006, that couldn't happen. And that did not end up being a reality. Not even a chance at that happening. And then The Dark Knight Rises took so many years after The Dark Knight to come out in 2012. Fucking retarded. Just fucking outrageous. I don't care what anyone else says, because that's my opinion and that's how I feel about this matter. And so those are all the reasons why I wish Batman Begins would have came out on February 15 in the year 2004.